Game
great.
started.
Okay, Bobby FL from, let's try knight f3. Bobby FL 1970, Bobby F 1970, maybe that's Bobby Fischer, and from Spain. Okay, just okay, I did knight f3. I was going to follow up with g3 and just try and get this fianchetto set up and maybe play c5. So a roundabout way of getting into the English. Let's go ahead. I can play c4 rather. I can play c4 now since he hasn't played d5. And castle. So my rating here is over 1400 for the first time in a long time. I've been up here before, but it seems like whenever I get up into the 1400s, I start losing games. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Okay, he's got this kind of setup. He hasn't pushed either c5 or d5. He's just staying back here with c6 and d6. So why don't I take more space in the center and develop my knight to c3. And then I could even think about playing e4 here. c4, d4, e4 is sort of like a perfect center. Although I don't know if it is consistent with the fianchetto so much. But maybe e4, e5, and break up the structure of pawns here. It's a possible idea. He hasn't put any pressure on my center, and I'm not sure where his knight's gone. There it is. So the knight from there could go to b6 and attack my c-pawn. It needs to move again, I think, so the bishop can develop. I need to develop my light squared bishop. But let's go and play e4 first, and then maybe bishop e3. Or maybe h3 first. Okay, so we're getting into more of a King's Indian kind of setup here. And bishop e3 immediately runs into knight. Well, knight g4 I guess is not that much of a threat. Knight g4, bishop can go to g5, and then I don't know, he advances the pawn or moves the knight back. If he takes, I'm going to take with the bishop, try and neutralize his dark squared bishop here. And if he just kind of sits on the position, oh, he did go there. Okay, so knight g4, I was thinking bishop g5. And if he kicks it with the pawn, then I'll retreat, I guess. Thing is, I can't retreat to h4. I'll have to come back here to d2, I guess, or even c1. d2 is okay. I was thinking I didn't want to leave this pawn undefended, but it's still defended by the knight, and his bishop is not going to be attacking it from that square. So now I can kick his knight by playing the move h3, and his knight only has one square to go to back on h6. Yeah, so, but he can move the f-pawn with tempo here, can't he? He can play f5, and that hits my knight. So after f5, what do I do? I could attack his knight, I suppose. Okay, well, he didn't do that. But this is not a bad move, too. He's got the idea to play knight to d6. It looks knight d3. Just setting up camp with his knight inside my house here. Okay, I'm going to kick his knight first. See if I can drive it back to a bad square. My knight is no longer subject to that discovered attack because his knight's in the way. And then queen to c1 attacks the knight. And he could play either knight to f7. See, the knight on e to f7 would defend the knight on h6. The knight on h to f7 just moves it out of trouble. But now, does this knight have any squares? Is the question. Where's he going after I kick it? He can go to d3 still. So f4, knight d3. Oh, he's also threatening to take on c4. Let's defend c4 then. And on knight d3 I have queen to c2. Okay, so he kicks my knight. Logical thing to do. I'm tempted to play knight to b5, but he can just kick it again. So maybe I should play knight to f3. If I play knight e2, that still leaves me with the idea of being able to play f4 at some point, which I think would be a good thing to do, be able to kick this knight. So now I'm thinking about the move queen c2 followed by f4, the moves, queen c2 and f4, and his knight would have no squares in my camp. It would have to go back to... okay, but he played knight d3 first. So here, he's on the dark squares, here, 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 or over to... yes, this somewhat annoying square on b4. Or back where he came. So if he plays knight b4, it hits my queen. That's why it's annoying. And if I go back, we may get a repetition. So I'm going to go to b1. All my pieces are defended. So if there's a push here, the knight's defended, and I'm going to push the pawn to a3 and drive that knight out. I can't live with the knight there. It's just too uncomfortable for me. And this pawn is defended by the bishop, so he can't. He's got to move his knight first. Okay, that's what I wanted. Now I'm covering this hole. I want to unpin my knight, however. The bishop has a pin on the knight on this long diagonal, very common feature of these Indian type positions. So now if I play rook to a2, kind of a funny move, but just to unpin the knight, and the knight can take back. The knight can take back on e4 there if white takes. I'm going to take with the bishop first, however, because if I take with the knight first, he has bishop to f5, which is pinning. And that loses a pawn. That's always something. Okay. Well, like I say, when I get over 1400, I start losing. So we'll see if I survive this. It is just a pawn. And I thought I had a decent position here, which doesn't, the good position doesn't go away just because you lose a pawn. Okay, but that knight move is interesting. Knight to f3 may be a problem. It's defended by my bishop right now. But if he attacks... my bishop by playing his bishop to f4. That may interfere with the defense of the square f3. Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to play a somewhat ambitious move here, f4, just to get the knight out of there. I need the knight to move before it becomes a problem. See, because he was threatening to play bishop f5, and then this knight f3 move would have been a problem. So I weakened my king side here by playing these moves. But he lost a piece, so that was an impetuous decision. So I need to take this guy off. So I don't have to worry about any knights coming into f3.
Check.
And he's got good bishops, but I don't believe he has compensation for a whole piece. Okay, he's hitting my queen. I'm just going to go to c1. Defending my knight, and I want to play bishop to e3 here to block out the dark squared bishop. Okay, yeah, so what is White's follow-up? He's got, his rooks are not yet involved in the attack, and neither is his queen, and I don't see easy entries for him. Maybe queen to f6 might have been an idea. So I still want to just trade off this bishop. So if he takes, I take, he takes, I take, I think I'm okay. If he doubles, though. Okay, so if I play bishop here and he plays queen to d7, and I take the bishop, queen takes rook, queen takes queen, rook takes queen, then I can, yeah, that loses material, actually. It's not good. Okay, so what's the other idea here? Yeah, and just I'm in a very awkward spot here. How about let's trade rooks.
Check.
Trade rooks. I think if I can trade everything off, I might be okay. I just have to give up on this idea. Of playing bishop here, unless there's some other way to do it. I also have the move bishop to d5 check. But oh, now he can't double, so I could try a move like this, chasing the bishop away this way. So where's that bishop going here? These squares are covered. That's covered. So the bishop could go back to f6 or e7, f6, g7. Or it could come forward. It could actually go to f2 here. So that's okay. I would just want to take that off. And now I have an extra bishop, which is a nice piece to have because the dark squared bishop is unopposed now. So there's no way, for example, for his pawns to become a threat, as long as I have this dark squared bishop and he doesn't have it. Okay, so he's going to bring the rook over. Let's
check.
Play this check. And then I'm attacking this pawn. And he's threatening to he's going to bring his rook to d1. I was planning to bring my rook, he's bringing his rook to d8. I was planning to bring my rook to d1, but unfortunately I can't go to d1 from a2. So that plan wouldn't have worked. Fortunately for me, he chose to defend the pawn. I think Rook d8 would have been much more of a threat. I have to move my queen immediately. I mean, I can grab a pawn, but then he has rook to d2 with a check and winning the bishop. So here we go. Oh, maybe because I took with check. I guess his king in the corner helps. So
Check.
maybe I would have been okay that way as well. So I need to stay on the dark squares. I don't want to walk into this bishop check. The bishop check would not have been a problem, would it? Because my bishop is covering that diagonal. So this bishop here turns out to be a very handy piece. It moved his king over to a dark square, so when I take on d4, it's with check. And there's even a mate threat, actually, if he doesn't do something about that.
Check.
So I guess I will keep the pressure on d4 there and see if how he defends. Yeah, it's not bad. So maybe bishop around this way to here to here. He's just going to have trouble holding everything together. If he plays, for example, bishop to f6, defending both pawns, I can just take the pawn on d6, and if queen takes, then queen takes d4 would lead to a mate. So let's try this theory. And if he doesn't take it, then I'm just going to play bishop to e5 also, leading to a mate or severe loss of material to avoid mate.
Check.
Okay, and yeah, I really don't see a defense here. I mean, he has one move, which is queen to f6.
Black resigns.
And then it's queen takes queen as mate.
Incoming
Okay.
challenge.
Well, I'm going to upload this game and do a post-mortem as usual. See you guys later. Bye.